The Braves have started the year 6-4, but why are we still worried? Braves cast. First episode, first official episode. Get excited. This is a monumentous occasion. I got champagne, but then I drank it all before this episode started. So, anyway, so yes, this is the first official episode of Braves cast. If you're our one subscriber that we have, you obviously checked out our wonderful player previews. We covered the entire 40-man roster just as we planned. It was a great time. Got a lot of experience really learning the podcast format. So throughout the season, just full transparency, we're still figuring it out. We're still seeing what works for us, what doesn't work. So this format that we're using right now might not be seeing it by August or September. So
with a small donation of $1 million, though, we can do this full time for 5 years.
Yeah. For 5 years. Okay. I was going to say, shoot, if you give me like $50,000, I could live off that for a good 2 years, maybe.
So if you want daily Braves podcasts, just send us a donation of
even
$100K,
100K between the two of us. I think we can make that go a long way. Maybe get better lighting instead of use my ring light.
Same.
So how this is going to work, we're going to do episodes every 2 weeks because, again, we are very busy people. We both work full-time jobs, as well as having YouTube channels, writing for publications, doing research for bigger YouTube channels, going on tour. We do a lot. So we think doing 2 episodes a month is just enough content without, basically burning the candle on both ends, to put it lightly. So we're going to go over the last last 3 series. Typically it'll be 4 series. We are recording this just as the Padres are sealing the deal on a 10-2 victory over our Atlanta Braves. We'll be certainly talking about that series as well as the series against the Nationals and Cardinals. So getting into it, we have first game of the season. Braves do what they should have done. They score 7 runs against Patrick Corbin. Honestly, it should have been more like 15, but really good performances all around. Max Fried pitches brilliantly before having to leave the game, I believe in the 4th inning, covering first base. We'll get into that injury in a second. Game 2, Braves again score 7 runs. Ronald Acuna Jr. and Matt Olson hit back-to-back homers, I believe, to start the game, if I remember that correctly.
Yep.
Good stuff there. And then they put up 1 run against the Nationals for the final game of the series. Jared Schuster makes his major league debut, and he gets kind of nervous when I would too if I was making my major league debut, especially for a team that has high expectations to start the year. He ends up walking.
Well, he goes the first 4 batters, I believe, or he allows 4 runs before he even gets an out.
Yeah, he allows like a single to Joey Meneses, ends up walking 5 batters, but after the first inning, he settles down. There's another 3 2/3 without allowing a run. Now, am I impressed? Yeah, I mean, to play in the major leagues, that's pretty impressive by itself. But for that standard, not really, because he did it against the Nationals, who are for all intents and purposes, a glorified AAA lineup. Maybe quadruple A if I'm being nice to them. But overall, National Series, you would want the sweep. It is, that is baseball. You score 7 runs the first 2 games when you don't really need it. And then the one game you need at least 5. You only put up 1. So to be fair, though, Mackenzie Gore for the Nationals did look really good. I don't think that was a case of our bats failing. It was more just getting beat by who I believe will be, a really good pitcher for years to come. Cardinals series, moving on. This is good. This was a fun
series.
Yeah, the start to the week was mighty fine, to say the least. Monday night, who started for us? That was the Morton game. Morton, despite not looking sharp, was still able to, for the most part, stifle the Cardinals' bats. I didn't. This was the one game I didn't watch, so I didn't really. I actually haven't watched any Morton games so far. But he goes 5 1/3 innings, only one strikeout, which is very un-Morton like. Allows 9 hits, 2 walks, not bad. But then the bullpen really bails him out. Nick Anderson, Colin McHugh, AJ Minter. That seems like that's going to be the formula for the 7th, 8th, and 9th. But we will see going forward. I know Colin McHugh is a bit of a swingman, kind of like a Swiss Army knife out of the bullpen. But especially with Raisel Iglesias on the shelf, that is a winning formula. If you see those 3 pitchers in the game, we're most likely winning that one. Moving on to Tuesday night. This was the
Dylan Dodd night.
The Dylan Dodd game. So I actually think I got Dodd and Elder starts confused. So yeah, Dylan Dodd. He kind of just looked like Jared Schuster 2.0. Both lefties with literally the same pitch arsenal. Fastball, changeup, slider. I believe Dodd throws his slider. Threw his slider the most out of any pitch, and obviously Jared Schuster stuck to his fastball. I would all say kind of like 40, 50 grade pitches, like pretty much across the board, if that. And then that was the game where Austin Riley hit a, was it 476?
173-foot homer.
173?
470.
I think it's 173. I don't think that's a home run. 473. Longest home run for an opposing player in Busch Stadium, and I think 5th longest homer ever hit there. And hey, like Albert Pujols. I mean, think of all the great sluggers who have played in this ballpark. Matt Holliday, Lance Berkman. So that's no small feat. To be fair, it was a complete cookie, but Austin Riley pretty much got all of that. And then Game 3 was the Bryce Elder game. I believed he pitched well, but also the defense bailed him out a few times. Michael Harris made a great catch that unfortunately he had to sacrifice his lower back for. Again, we will talk about it. And then moving on to the Padres series. Yes, the fun one. The one we were...
Started out very well.
Started out super well. We had Spencer Strider come in. Pitched 5 innings. I think he probably could have gotten one more, but really with the exception of, I would say, 2 walks and 1 pitch to Matt Carpenter. I mean, he looked as good as ever. It was my first time seeing Spencer Strider pitch in person. Yes, I went to this game. I was literally parked myself in section, what was it, 157, basically right next to the scoreboard or one section away from the scoreboard. Perfect view of the strike zone. It was life-changing. It was honestly, it's crazy. I think he has the best fastball in the game. It's funny because we had that conversation about Spencer Strider. We can get into this later. About how his slider isn't that great on the surface, but it got to a point where the Padres hitters, they just couldn't sit fastball anymore. It's just he never threw it over the plate besides that one pitch to Matt Carpenter. And even though the slider isn't that great of a pitch, the fact that they can't really comfortably sit on the fastball, it's enough of a change of view, enough of a change of motion that it throws them off. I mean, even if it's like, a Dylan Dodd-esque slider, a little bit better than that, but crazy experience. He pitched really well, besides 1 pitch to Matt Carpenter. Come in, tie game. I believe it was one Kirby Yates who blew the game for us. But we had our lovely new shortstop, Orlando Arcia, come in and deliver a walk-off single to score Eddie Rosario. And then Friday night, I need some water after this. Friday night, we have Jared Schuster, part 2, come in. He was not great in this game either. I was actually getting during the first inning, I was actually getting the cleanup burger, which I don't want to relive that experience, if I'm being honest here. When he what was it? He gave up, I think it was like 2 or 3 runs in the first inning, and then just kind of gave up like run or two here and there. Braves offense didn't really have it. Brent Honeywell came in for the Padres. He was a former prospect.
He existed.
He was a former prospect for the Rays, and I was like, oh, I forgot he existed. I was like, wait, he's on the Padres now? Like, when did they trade for him? I don't know. He pitched really well. I mean, he really, I think, was the difference maker in that game. Braves offense just came up short. Ozzie Albies had an especially tough series against the Padres. Last night I didn't get to watch it. It looks like Morton put up a decent performance, and then Michael Wacha, out of all people,
Yeah,
I mean, out of our
struck out 10 batters, 11 batters. I also did not have a chance to see anything but the last inning. But Michael Wacha,
maybe.
Hope he has a great season this year. Otherwise, I'm going to be kind of upset about this.
Maybe the Cardinals' devil magic is manifesting itself in strange and mysterious ways this year since we swept them. And then a former Cardinal pitcher who has always just been definition of a 3 or 4 starter comes up and throws 6 innings of 1-run ball. But Hader comes in, and obviously we didn't have a Freddie Freeman to counter him with, and shuts the door on us. And then tonight, the game that has just concluded, as of recording this, the Braves lost 10-2. Dylan Dodd, they kind of looked the same he did against the Cardinals, except luck was not on his side. Gave up a 3-run home run to Nelson Cruz. Gave up some kind of unlucky hits, but I mean, we lost 10-2. I mean, that's not like if a couple things swung differently, we could have had them.
There were a lot of lobsters on the Braves end. I think had the Braves scored in the first, second, or third, maybe Snett goes to the bullpen a little earlier. But, losing 10-2, it wasn't that close at the end. But yeah, it was kind of an ugly game. I was doing my grocery shopping, and then by the time I got home, it was already over.
So yeah, let's get into it. Obviously, if you're just joining us, we're going to have to find a way to do the game recaps better, because I was
impressive. That was
a lot for me. That was a lot for me, and it was I think it was a lot for the listener too. So yeah, let's get into the fun stuff though. Let's get into the actual conversations. 10 games in the season, you don't want to overreact.
I mean,
let's not overreact.
3 out of 4 games to the Royals, a 3-game series that's coming up, would be very concerned. If we were doing this with Max Fried in the rotation, I'd be very concerned. I think I did have bigger expectations for Schuster and Dodd. If we'd recorded this yesterday, I would have felt really good about Dodd today. I liked what I saw from him. 3 strikeouts isn't that great, but he was throwing the ball over the plate. The Cardinals have a good lineup. He allowed 1 run. Tonight, obviously, is a different story. But, 6-4 is a good place to start to begin the season. I think coming off being 6-1, it does kind of sting a little more, especially when you win the first game of a 4-game series. But yeah, overall, even with tonight's tough loss, I'm still feeling pretty good about the season. We'll go into a few players that I feel good about, a few players who are underperforming too that I'm still pretty satisfied with. Is there a player you want to start with?
Yeah, I'll just give my kind of overall thoughts on the first 10 games of the year too. We looked really good against the Nationals. Obviously, right now we're pretty much testing our starting pitching depth, probably as much as we can this early in the season. I mean, we were without Fried, Wright, and I may have starter, but Iglesias too. Colin McHugh's on the DL or IL. So that's definitely something to watch out for. successful teams like the Dodgers, Rays, value depth. And, I mean, we made the joke about, the Braves AAA bullpen being, the 20th best bullpen in Major League Baseball. But we're really going to be testing out, how much we have in the bank for this last week and next couple of weeks. And better now than in October. Better Max Fried tweaks his hamstring, first game of the season instead of his 30th start of the season. So that's definitely something that is kind of a bummer, because it's like you have such high expectations for your team, and then within the first 10 games, like you lose Michael Harris, you lose Travis d'Arnaud, you lose Max Fried, you're without Kyle Wright. So, I feel like we haven't seen this team at full strength, and to still start the year 6-4 after playing 2 series against playoff hopeful teams. I mean, I would say even World Series contenders. It's a good start. I mean, we're not mad about it. We don't want to be those selfish, self-absorbed Braves fans who are like, 6-4, that's not good enough. We want to start
expecting the Braves version of Frank the Tank here. We're gonna disappoint you.
Yeah, maybe later on. We'll see how much we're tested. If the Braves are testing their starting pitcher depth, we're just testing our fan pain tolerance depth.
Frank the Tank abilities.
Yeah.
What do you think about Orlando Arcia? I think going into the season, I thought the Braves were going with Arcia because they felt like Grissom needed more defensive seasoning. First day of the season, Anthopoulos hands Arcia a contract extension, which was kind of like a contract replacement with an extra year.
Yeah.
It was kind of like $1 million raise. Way to go, way to win the job. He has a 133 WRC plus, and his StatCast numbers are saying it's expected. He's slightly overperforming his xWOBA as of today going into the game, but it was only by like 2%.
Yeah, I mean,
I did not expect this.
Yeah, I mean, RC is a player where we've kind of said he's like, if you could build like a modern Braves player in a lab, like Orlando Arcia would be the end result, at least from the hitting side. He hunts his one pitch, and if he gets it, he's going to smack the shit out of it. If he doesn't, most likely he's going to strike out. Very, very 3 true outcomes. Like, his defense looks really good. There was a play that he made, I believe it was Friday night, and it was either against Xander Bogaerts or I think Manny Machado, tailing to his right. I mean, made the flip or made the spin, and I literally yelled out, "That's my shortstop!" right after he made it. I mean, it was such a beautiful moment on a difficult play, and he's kind of just doing everything right. And I don't think the WRC Plus is going to hold up for the whole year. Everybody who I'm talking to, like family members and friends, are like, "Oh man, RCA, like he's looking really good," and I'm kind of skeptical. I'm telling them, he's going to silently go, 3 for his next, 20. Just you wait, it's going to happen. But when he's good, I mean, he lengthens this lineup. I mean, it is a beautiful thing. Him as our 9th hitter, especially, knowing that he could be a potential, 15 to 20 homer guy out of that 9 hole.
Yeah, I'm not as sold on his defense. I just don't trust his his range. Outs above average isn't a fan of him right now, but at this point in the season, percentiles when it comes to defense is kind of a weird thing.
Yeah,
he's in the 6th percentile, but he has -1 out above average, and I think -2 came from the Nationals game.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple things. I know the Padres game on Thursday, he made kind of a stupid throwing decision where basically it was double play opportunity, runner on first. I think it was, I don't know if it was like Hassan Kim or it was like a fast runner on first, and he clearly just did not have a play there, but he tried to
Oh, yeah,
force
he
it
threw the
anyway.
second.
Yeah, he threw to second, and obviously we didn't get that out. And obviously we didn't get that out at first either. So a couple. He kind of plays shortstop. It's gonna be a very obvious, stupid saying, but like he kind of plays shortstop like a second baseman. Um, he still has a decent arm, but I still feel like he's going to try to just make the shortest throw like whenever he can, even if it's not the most like logical decision. I know there was like a ball against the Cardinals that just kind of went through him, which happens, but I don't think they've been like super consequential plays yet, and I think his bat has definitely outshined any defensive mishaps.
Also, when I watch Arcia offensively, I don't feel like it's Jose Constanza. If you guys remember who Jose Constanza is from 10 years ago, where he just babbipped his way to put Jason Hayward on the bench. Throw back to Freddie Gonzalez days. Like, I genuinely, he hits the ball well. He gets the results. I don't think he's a 133 WRC plus player, but I'm starting to believe he might be a 105, 110 WRC plus player. And if your 9-hole hitter, if your 8-hole hitter is an above average hitter, you've got a really good team.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else to say about Arcia except that I've been very impressed. I not sold on him to start the season, but I am now.
So I guess while we're kind of on the, talking about the lineup, how do you feel about the current, I guess I could say like philosophy of how the lineup's being constructed, where we have Acuna batting leadoff, Olsen second, Riley third, and then it should be Travis d'Arnaud, but he's hurt right now. One of Travis d'Arnaud or Ozzy batting fourth.
I haven't been a fan of the lineup construction past Austin Riley. I know, like by the sabermetric book, you want Austin Riley batting fourth.
Mm-hmm.
I like him batting third. I like Acuna, Olsen, and Riley to start the game. I love Ozzy Albies. I think the Braves in 2025 or 2026 should up his salary in the next couple of years, and then offer him the lifetime deal. He's not a 4-hitter, left-handed at least. I have no issue with him batting cleanup right-handed when he's hitting right-handed, but when he faces a right-handed pitcher, I don't know what Snit is doing by having him in the 4-hole. d'Arnaud, definitely, I liked him hitting cleanup. Now that he's on the IL, though, hopefully that concussion is a quick one to heal. I have taken a big issue to how Snit has been using Sean Murphy. I think Braves fans, I've seen some big overreactions when it comes to Murphy's hitting. He has a 400 on base percentage. It's really hard to be mad at someone with a 400 on base percentage.
Also, too, we're 10 games in the season. I mean, there's just this. It takes time. I mean, you have two bad games, and it completely tanks all your numbers. And yeah, it took him.
When your manager is only playing you every other game, I really don't understand why Snitker is using an established MLB catcher every other day.
Yeah,
because he has shown no problem with having d'Arnaud hit as the DH.
Well,
but Murphy is apparently off limits when it comes to DHing, and we'll get to him in a minute. But that means that when Murphy is on the bench and Travis d'Arnaud is behind the plate, Marcell Ozuna is your DH, and I haven't been a big fan of that. I would really like it if we could have both d'Arnaud, and I know we can't have both of them in the lineup every day, 162 games a year. But I think Sean Murphy playing 6 out of the first 10 games is a little ridiculous, considering how much we gave up to get him.
Yeah, and I do wonder if eventually... Well, I mean, right now, it's not something I have to worry about since d'Arnaud's hurt, so Murphy's going to get plenty of time. Now, if we see him doing the same thing, but just replace d'Arnaud with Chadwick Trump, then we're going to have some real issues here. But... yeah, it's definitely confusing. That's definitely been one of the biggest pain points and topics, for Braves discourse. I don't know if it's, I know Snitker is somebody, and I think one of the hidden strengths of the Braves teams in the last, during this run of success has been health. Um, and I remember Josh Donaldson in April of last year. He played intermittently. I mean, he would be 3 games on, 1 game off, and it was sort of a way for Snicker to let him, even though he got his spring training, let him build into the season. Especially playing in actual meaningful games. Is that what he's doing here? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I mean, Sean Murphy hasn't really had an extensive injury history. I mean, he's been pretty durable for a catcher.
I think if I'm not mistaken, he played 140 games last year.
Yeah.
So it's not
for a catcher. That's a lot. I know he DH'd a lot of them too, but that's a lot for a catcher. So,
but that's the thing too. If the Oakland A's are able to DH him, and they have nothing to play for, then the Braves should be able to DH him as well.
And it'd be one thing if we had, if the guy that we were playing instead was good, but it's Marcell Ozuna, who
is it Marcell Ozuna time?
We can transition. We can go back and forth. I mean, it's this is it's a free.
It's a free space.
Yeah, free space to have a conversation in.
I feel like I have paradoxical opinions on Ozuna right now.
So my Ozuna opinion is that the worst thing he could do right now is play well. I haven't really read much directly from either Alex Anthopoulos, who obviously is notoriously very
tight-lipped, yeah.
Tight-lipped, or Snicker, who is actually kind of the opposite, but just hasn't. I haven't seen any word on Marcell Ozuna. We don't know if he's on the hook right now. I mean, he's in the 3rd year of his deal. I think we're at a point where we're feeling comfortable just eating that money. If he's just a wasted roster spot. So for me, I think if he was playing well, playing himself into more time, only for him to pull the curtains on us and oh no, it's the same Marcell Ozuna that we've seen for the last 2 years now. That would be worse than what he's doing now. I think this is gonna sound awful, but I think him hitting not even $150, just 50, is the best thing he can do, because it's just this is the player he is. He is not going to change. He's had the same mechanical issues now for the last 2 years, has not done anything to fix it. It was funny. They're actually mentioning it's so fun watching the Braves on a national broadcast, because it's watching your little brother, star in his first big movie, and you've it's this thing that it feels like your secret, and then now the whole world knows about it. It was funny. They were talking about Marcell Ozuna's mechanical issues that I've heard Jeff Francoeur literally talk about for the last 2 years. About how he's opening up his hips. He's basically just kind of bailing out that front side and has no control over it, and it's just frustrating to watch. And as a fan, especially on a team with guys like Matt Olson, who has made serious adjustments over the offseason, Austin Riley, who went from one of the worst guys, one of the worst slider hitters, to one of the best. It's just frustrating seeing this guy that is one of the highest paid players on this roster just not doing anything, just basically being okay with mediocrity. And it's frustrating, but I'm glad that he's showing us how bad he is this early. So hopefully, Sam Hilliard can come in, Eli White can come in, and we can justify just cutting the bait and letting him go and just parting ways.
Yeah. So my opinion on Ozuna is a little different. I would also prefer to have him off the team, and his outputs right now are horrible. He has a 0.74 batting average, 296 slugging, a 37 WRC plus before everything gets
I think his
adjusted
only
tonight.
2 hits are his 2 homers.
So that's the thing that I'm struggling with, right? He has had, let me do the math, 28 plate appearances. How many walks? He's had 5 walks, so 20 22 plate appearances, 23 plate appearances, 10 strikeouts, so 13. So he's had 11 batted balls, and his BABIP is 0. I don't think that's sustainable. You know,
So 0 BABIP.
zero BABIP.
I mean, it has to go up at some point, I think. Maybe.
So he's really technically been unlucky. If you give him an extra, 2 or 3 hits to be generous, his batting average goes to still not very good, but 217. Like that.
Yeah, but still,
It's not the worst.
Yeah, it's still pretty bad though.
And he's walking at a 14% clip. Super small sample size, but he's walking more. His xWOBA is 343. His WOBA is 245. I can see why the Braves have. He's always performed his xWOBA, underperformed his xWOBA though. So it's not like, last year he hit on par with his xWOBA and this year he's getting unlucky. It's just kind of hard, For me, I want everybody on the Braves to succeed because it's the team that I pull for. Ozuna is just such a... yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say...
You're right that he should be playing... He's basically playing himself off the team. I think he needs a change of scenery.
Yeah.
Would I be willing to trade him to the Diamondbacks for Bumgarner? No. But if there's another, sort of bad contract swap, I think he just needs a different place. He's still a major leaguer, I think. I don't think he's playing himself off a roster.
And I think the greatest fear in the Braves front office right now is, we can't find somebody to take him. We just cut bait.
He goes to the Mets. He hits 30 home runs.
Yeah, but the thing, my justification for it, it's like he's not gonna do that for us. It's just not gonna happen. We keep thinking that something's gonna turn around, and I know you're saying he underperforms his xWOBA, but it's just we've had 2 years now where. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. There we go. We've had 2 years now where it's just we've seen basically the same guy putting up the same numbers that being just like a below replacement level player, and I just don't think it's at a point where it's just going to get any better. And I think we're at a point now where it's like we can admit that we made a mistake. It's okay. We all do. We're none of us are perfect.
My hope is that Harris comes back and Eli White gets some playing time. He struck out in his only plate appearance tonight, but I really want to see what Eli White has to offer. He's a really fast dude. He plays great defense.
Did a good spring
Hilliard
training.
has impressed me so far.
Yeah.
I think Hilliard's got a spot for now, especially because he has no options. But I want Eli White to get some playing time over the next 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
And when Harris comes back, I would love for that corresponding move to just be Ozuna on the move.
Yeah.
Since
that'd be like Christmas morning. Seriously, that's what it seriously feel like. I think I speak for every Braves fan here. It would literally feel like waking up on December 25th.
I think to transition a little bit to another player who struggled last year but has a very different status in the Braves community is Eddie Rosario.
Mm-hmm.
And Eddie Rosario is hitting at a worse clip than Ozuna is to start the season.
Yeah.
He has a lower walk rate. He's striking out just as much. His batting average is a little higher, but his on-base percentage is about the same. He hasn't hit a homer. It's weird to look at Ozuna and just say, oh, he's terrible. He's should be off the team. He's done this for years now. We should just move on. I know Eddie Rosario had the eye surgery last year. He was hot in the month that he played with the Braves prior to the 2021 postseason. Before that, he was quite bad with the Cleveland team. I actually have a lot higher hope for Rosario. I was doing an article. It should be out by the time this one is out. But Rosario is actually really underperforming all the batted ball metrics. He actually has a higher xWOBA as of today. I probably won't be tomorrow. But as of today, he has a higher xWOBA than Austin Riley. But his WRC plus is
Yeah.
0.
And I think obviously, beyond the numbers here, we hold Eddie Rosario to a different standard than Marcell Ozuna, and we can admit that. One is a postseason hero, and the other was serving a domestic abuse suspension during said postseason. I didn't know that. Even the game Friday night, I mean, he was, I would say if he was maybe like a millisecond later on a ball, it would have been a grand slam for the Friday night game against the Padres. Obviously, just so many factors, so many variables. You can't really be playing that game. But for Rosario, I can see him serving a bigger purpose in the grand scheme than Ozuna. Especially given his contract. Ozuna at this point just feels more expendable, to me at least.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it's interesting that if you just look at a statistical comparison, Rosario has actually done decently defensively this year in short sample. But to me, it just feels interesting that, like, statistically, they are comparable people over the past 2 seasons. Low offensive value, low defensive value, low base running value.
Just bad.
But because one player basically went Babe Ruth against the Dodgers and has a fairly good reputation. I still personally love Eddie Rosario, but Guillermo Heredia is one of my favorite players, so I don't really like players based on their skill. That I am perfectly fine riding it out with Rosario, but I would love to see Ozuna in a different uniform tomorrow.
Yeah. So just kind of moving on here. I was just going to make a point on the lineup construction, just going way back to before that. I know I think Ozzy Albies fourth against lefties. I think that's a good choice. I believe he hit a home run against, was it Corbin, or he's hit a right-handed home run this year, I believe.
He smacked a left-handed home run against the Cardinals.
Okay, that's maybe what I was thinking of. But yeah, basically what I was going to say is that I think traditional kind of old school baseball thinking would be to put Ozzy in the 2-hole, the scrappy contact hitter, is going to put the ball in play. And it does artificially lengthen the lineup, and I think it makes it better aesthetically, because then you can put Matt Olson third, Austin Riley fourth, and then Travis d'Arnaud fifth. But I think operationally, like just from a functionality standpoint, the lineup works better with Ronald Acuna, Matt Olson, and Austin Riley. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I'm one of the people who was full in on the sabermetric lineup construction, so Albies up in the top of the order just doesn't compute in my mind. I actually love Ozzy 6th or 7th or even 8th.
Yeah.
Or even 9th, actually.
And just I kind of saw how, this lineup works firsthand. I want to try to find a stat of like what I guess I could just do like runs scored in the first inning or something. Like how likely are you to give up a run to at least one of 3 of those guys? If you have to face all 3 of them, so basically Ron Acuna Jr. Thursday night game against the Padres, Ron Acuna Jr. hits a double. Matt Olson advances him to third on a grounder. Austin Riley gets him in a sac fly, and that's one run in a blink of an eye, and that one run made the difference in the win on Thursday. And I'm not saying, again, any player at any time has the capability to do anything that any other player would do. You know, like Matt Olson hits homers, Ozzy Albies also hits homers, just at a much, much lower rate. And for me, I know Matt Olson's still struggling with the strikeouts, but I think having him batting second with Austin Riley behind him, it forces you to have to make a pitch to him, at least one pitch to him in that situation, especially with Ronald Acuna Jr. On the base path. So I like it. And right, it's going to be tested. The next week or so with Michael Harris and Travis d'Arnaud on the shelf, but I think this lineup, construction wise, is well put together. Minus putting Ozzy Albies fourth when he's hitting lefty, because he's definitely a fifth. I think I'll be fine with, but I do agree with you that like 7th through 9th might be more of like a suitable place for him.
I also think Ozzy just doesn't have the ego that it would kill him to be moved down all the way to the bottom of the order.
So
he knows he's a face of the franchise, and that like where he is in the lineup isn't going to be make or break. And I kind of just love the speed dynamic of having Ozzy and Acuna back to back. But anywhere 6th through 9th, I'd be satisfied.
And I also kind of like having the light table setter. It's like you have Acuna first, and then you kind of get like the big boppers through, and then after you're done with that, you have Ozzy Albies, who's kind of like, has all the tools that Ronald Acuna Jr. has.
He would have been just a leadoff hitter like in 1970.
Yeah, just in a lot lower of a capacity. So we're nearing the 45-minute mark. I do have a question for you. Do you think this lineup is more potent against righties or lefties, assuming that Michael Harris and Travis d'Arnaud are healthy?
I think it's kind of a wash. I think against the lefty, you have, Mike Trout, a.k.a. Ozzy Albies, but then you lose Michael Harris being Mike Trout versus a righty.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing about Mike Trout, though, is he's both against lefties and righties, whereas with Albies and Harris, you kind of have to choose. I like d'Arnaud against lefties. I don't know why, but again, Ozuna, as bad as he is also better against righties than lefties. It's really, I think it really might just come down to Olson being better against righties than lefties, which kind of makes me think we're a better righty lineup, facing a righty lineup. But I don't think it's by much.
Because I think
the balances.
Yeah, well, I think the difference of Olson versus righty and lefties to Riley versus righty and lefties is greater for Olson. I think Olson is much better. Like even though it's not much, I still think his split against both is greater than Riley's split. So I also think
it is
that
a tough question.
And I think I would rather see Michael Harris the second against a righty than Ozzy Albies against a lefty. To me, it's just a more fun, dynamic player, in my opinion, just because he just hits everything against righties. Mm-hmm. Where Ozzy Albies still has a propensity to strike out even right-handed, which I saw a bunch of times over the weekend.
Yeah. I don't think we have enough time to go on a deep dive, but I am a little concerned about Harris's ground ball rate to start the season. I think he'll fix it. It's just something for people to keep an eye on. I mean, we could go on for another hour talking about this past week, but do you want to start looking ahead to the Reds, Royals, Padres, and Astros?
Yeah.
In the next 2 weeks?
Just before we do that, I just have one fact on here that I thought was funny. Spencer Strider is 41% of the Braves starting. We haven't even talked about Spencer Strider. This 45-minute format's going to be very interesting going forward.
I could talk about Spencer Strider for 45 minutes.
Yeah, honestly.
Even during the offseason, so this is going to be really tough.
But that's both because he's striking out at an insane rate, as we expected, and nobody else on the Braves staff has been... I mean, it's just basically ground balls.
I think
Central.
Morton striking out just one batter in St. Louis really was bizarre to me.
Yeah.
If we had recorded this after that game, I'd be very, very concerned. But he followed up with 6 strikeouts against the Padres in 5 innings, and that seems more like Morton. I think Morton, for just like a brief comment, I think he'll be fine as a 5th starter this year after these 2 starts. But yeah, Schuster has really struggled. Dodd is really not a strikeout pitcher.
Yeah, it's kind of funny now.
Not a strikeout pitcher. It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's kind of funny now that Schuster and Dodd, after 2 starts, have pretty much similar numbers, just in totally different ways. Schuster just had 2, I would say, very middle of the road to bad starts, and Dodd had 1 amazing start followed by a complete blow up.
Yeah,
so,
in one way, I'm glad we're
to
recording this tonight and not yesterday, where I would have been. I mean, I'm a dumb Braves fan in a way. I see a good start from a rookie. I thought Matt Whistler was going to be the next big thing. But yeah, after tonight, I think, Schuster and Dodd really remind me of Wright and Wilson back in 2019, where they just weren't ready. Wilson never got there, but Wright eventually did.
It's funny because I was thinking about saying a claim that if you put them together and, kind of, don't look, or what's the phrase? If you put them together and kind of like blink your eyes, like you could see Tom Glavine, but I'm like, no, because they're kind of like the same arsenal of pitches. If you combine them, you just get the same pitcher again.
Get the same pitcher. They're literally the Office meme. Corporate wants to find.
Tell the difference. Like there's no difference.
They're the same
pitcher. Yeah.
I'm really okay with them getting major league starts at this point in the season. I need to see Bryce Elder for another game because I still don't have an opinion on Bryce Elder.
Yeah, he got bailed out. He got bailed out by the defense big time. He was giving up some hard hits.
What was that, Wednesday afternoon? He was giving up hard hits, and he had like a no-hitter through 4 innings.
Yeah, really and then the hit that he gave up was on a miscommunication Bermuda Triangle play. That's baseball.
I think I messaged you this, but we've not been alive for the Braves to throw a no-hitter, and I think I messaged Cole and said I'd be very pissed if the reason why I still don't have a Braves no-hitter in my lifetime is because of a Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
I was actually pulling for the Cardinals to get another hit.
There's no way they're going to keep him in the game, though. It would have been a combined no-hitter. I would have been more pissed off about a combined no-hitter, to be honest.
Yeah, we don't care for that. I still stand by my tweet from a while ago that I think Spencer Strider has a couple no-hitters this year as like a hot take. But yeah, it looks like this rotation's really just going to end up being once Fried and Wright get back, Fried, Strider, Wright, Morton, Elder, which is kind of what we were thinking it could be back at the beginning. We were on
replace Elder with Soroka, and yes, I would agree.
Yeah. Starting opening day rotations, they really don't last. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I wanted to say for anybody ringing the alarm bells on our seemingly lack of starting pitcher. Starting pitching's at a premium right now. I don't know if y'all have seen across the league. There's a lot of teams that are raising the alarm bells. The Brewers, Corbin Burns has like a 9 ERA through 2 starts. The Mets. Justin Verlander's still on the shelf.
What's Max Scherzer didn't have a great start.
They gave up 18 runs to the Brewers, who don't have a good offense.
I kind of didn't realize this. Max Scherzer, 2 starts into the season, has a 7.57 FIP.
Yeah. He's getting pitch clocked. No. He's too old. He needs like a minute between pitches.
Yeah, I love Max Scherzer. I've always hated that he's pitched for it in all these teams for the past, 7 out of the last 9 years or whatever. 7 out of the last 8 years.
And the other team was the Dodgers. It's not like it's much better. Be better if he was. I would like it more if he was like on the Orioles or the Royals, like a team that just, feels far off and harmless.
His return to the NL East was just a little less of a reaction, the same reaction that I have for Trey Turner, which is just like the 5 stages of grief.
Yeah.
I still can't get over that Trey Turner's back in the NL East, and it makes me so sad.
Surprise.
But
he's
yeah,
back.
McCall is saying 10 years. Oh. I'll be okay. I'll be okay. Around 6 years, his speed will slow up, and by 9 years, we'll be laughing at that contract, hopefully. But for the next 5 years, man, it's gonna be hell.
So yeah, looking.
Yeah, what Cole is saying, rotation is a wash. Like every team is struggling.
Yeah. It's not an issue unique to us. So looking
First
ahead,
place.
we're it's going to be really interesting next week's episode, or not next week, next episode in 2 weeks, because we're going to play the Reds and Royals this week, who are bottom feeders. I mean, we are hopefully. Was it going to be 6 games, just 2 3-game series? I'm expecting 4-2. Either sweep one, and then, well, I don't want to say that. I'm expecting like a 4-2 week. There, I mean, Reds. Their starting pitchers are starting to build up. I mean, they do have. I don't know if we're gonna see Nick Lodolo or Hunter Green, but if not, we're gonna feast.
I think we're getting a Strider Green matchup, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that should be fun. Definitely put that on your radar.
100-mile-an-hour fastballs.
Yeah, that could set a record for most 100-mile-per-hour fastballs thrown in one game. And then the Royals, who, again, just another upstart team. Really expect our offense to go off this week, which is something we definitely need, especially after these last 3 games versus the Padres. But then after that, we go to San Diego to face the Padres right before they get Tatis back, and then we face the Astros. So we might be singing a very similar tune next episode, where we're like, oh man, those first 2 series were great, last 2 not so good. This just should still be great series though, and hopefully we're able to get Freed back. Hopefully Wright is fully healthy, and we can put up some decent what was I gonna say, lineups.
Yeah, I'm hoping by the time we talk again, Acuna and Olsen have combined for 10 homers. Maybe if we throw in Austin Riley, maybe 13 homers between the 2 of them. I would take a split between the Padres and the Astros games, like a 3-3 with those teams.
Yeah.
I would be very happy with.
I'd be very happy if they went 7-5 in the next 2 weeks between us having this podcast. So, and that's important. I mean, that's something that the phrase is, what you're going to lose 50 games, you're going to win 50 games. It really matters what you do with the other 62. So this next week, just rack up the wins while you can, and then get ready to play some very competitive baseball against 2 powerhouse teams. That's all I have for this week.
Okay. No, that's fine.